So I'm Thomas Mangin. I work for Exa Networks, my business. I'm also on the board of Lynx and XLead, which are two exchanges in the UK. And there's animations. So that's what is. So the slide of the talk is about more or less what there is in common and not in common between networking and development. Normally, when I speak about things, I speak about ExaBGP, which is my open source software. And I found that when you speak to a community of network engineers, they don't tend to appreciate the side of the development. And there is probably some overlap or a lack of overlap. And I would like to present that. So that's the plan. The most important part is part 5, because you know that I'm between you and the beer. So, wow, sorry. It was changed. Okay. Okay, so what I will do is I will try to speak about what are the roles we normally see in a network operation on an ISP or a network. What is network operation? How it's different from what the web people are doing, what are the overlaps, and look at the tool set and what it means. And it's not an easy presentation because I've been told it's bad. Okay, so when you look at job description on both sides, more or less, the job is the same. It's to make sure it works. What you have to do to make it work is slightly different, but what you want to achieve is a network stability and service stability. So when you look at things on the development side, there is little thing to be done with the application. You install the application and then most of the work is done with development. When you write a website or we write an application, most of the time is spent not configuring Nginx or making Apache work. Most of the time is spent on the application, on what core creates the value for the application. When you look at the network, there is little programming to be done, and most of the time is spent making sure things are configured as they should be configured. So there are quite a difference. And those things now tend to change. More and more people which are doing the development are wanting to have access to the networking. We can see more and more people starting to argue about who is in charge of the top of the rack switch. Who can configure it? Is it the developers because they want to do multi-chassis link aggregation and they want to be able to change it dynamically and to program it and put that part of their backend system? Or is it the network team which configure it and maintain it to make sure it works? So there is more and more of a time an overlap of roles. So when we look at what are the tool sets we are using on a day-to-day basis, network engineers tend to use routers or ASICs, which are normally proprietary boxes with a good piece of chipset. We can route packet quick. Most of it is proprietary. They do more or less deal with a networking protocol, which are well defined. So from that point of view, the same thing as people doing a client server or applications. Those things are open and spec in the open. Networking is decentralized, so to make sure that things are working and stay stable on point of outage, when most of the things which are on the website are centralized. And the big change, and in fact the big thing we change is, in one case, most of the tools are open source, and when the other case, most of the vendors want to buy you something, which is often not what you want to use. So when you look at the DevOps, they are very lucky. If they want to roll out code or roll out things, they have plenty of tools to do rollout, automations, mass automation. They have good tools as well for performance and stability, for visibility, plenty of ways to extract data from their application, to store it, to graph it, to see what they want to do. Plenty of tools as well to take stream of information and organize it and be able to extract valuable information from it. And it's so standardized nowadays, and now we see more and more cloud companies starting to develop those products as cloud services, because the stack is open source and the knowledge is, the way of working is universal. On the network side, we want the same thing. We want as well automation, rollout, easy rollout from, I will say, centralized place, SDN. But most of the solutions I've seen are mainly for the big guy. It's not as easy to do as it is easy to do on the, I would say, web development side. And most of them cost money. So there is some work to try to change that. Obviously, Yang is one, which will help a lot to standardize the way we configure router. But for now, it's a lot of things, and there's nothing huge or massively deployed. So when I looked at development for my own network and when I done ExaBGP, what I looked at is a LAMP stack. The LAMP stack, everyone knows it. It's a web server, some CGI script, some code, and a database. Okay? It's quite easy, and everyone can write a LAMP stack. It's not very hard. Every kid nowadays can start one with a line of Python. That's it. They have a web server. It's very, very simple to do. But network engineers should be able to do things as well without having to think too much about things. And the way I thought about it is at the time is there is one protocol most network engineers know well, it's BGP. They know it, they understand it, so therefore that's probably the best tool to do things with. It's probably not the SDN that vendors are speaking of with, I will say, more integration or more layer 2 things, but it tends to work and it's been used for many years and it's proven. So, before I cover that in details, there is other way to do things. I will just, oops, sorry. There is other things to things. There are other things which are very interesting as well. There is more than BGP. There is a lot of new projects which are quite interesting on automation. Some I found Cumulus Linux interesting, which is the way that, in effect, you can take a I would say, a very non-ASIC, like a Trident 2 chipset, and use it to build a Linux box which will forward packets at your speed. There is very interesting project on, I will say, on TCP stack on New Zealand, which allow to create new application on new networking device on New Zealand. So those two, for example, are used. The first one is used, I think, currently by Cloudflare to accelerate their web traffic, and the second one can be used to create whatever you want, in effect, networks. And other people are trying to look at the network and redefine how a network is designed. For example, trying to remove all the unnecessary routes from the network to minimize the size of the routing table on Intecam. So when I look at the problem for myself, I thought BGP was a solution, so I created ExaBGP. ExaBGP is, in the LAMP stack, the L. It's the Apache. It is the things which speak to the network and allow you to do things with it. So what people can do with it, because that's what I've done it. So that's an example of thing we can be done. One network engineer who is not a programmer, which is not an expert on any kind of programming language, he knows scripting a little bit, wrote a tool which allows us to export from IBGP all our routes from our routers and graph for a prefix where the traffic will go for the network at any place. That wasn't very big. It took him a few days to write, and it works. We use it. It's useful. It didn't take a lot. But the idea is to take the principle of web programmation. When you write a web app, you don't spend your time rewriting a HTTP1 request. What you do is you are just writing what you need from the software. People have pushed that to the extreme. I was scared like hell when I was told that RIPE wanted to use ExaBGP to redo RIS. So you can do that. You can do things very complicated. RIS decided to use BGP on the side, some queuing system, some collection, some very intelligent logic behind it to replace RIS and make it real time. So it shows that if you have the need, it can be a block in the solution of an SDN platform. But SDN is not about looking at things, it's about changing things. And most of us, when we have to use, I think, I would say, things which are SDN based, often is for preventing DDoS. So some projects exist nowadays which can allow you to do that. FastNetMon is a very good program by Pavel, which will collect your flows and then detect an anomaly and then allow you to inject or normally /32s or FlowSpec. If you don't know FlowSpec, they are ASIC, they are firewall based, which can be sent via BGP to your routers. Those things like that are effectively SDN. It's a different way of doing SDN. It's not the way you are used about it, but it's SDN. What you can do as well is when you want to create SDN, SDN is the ability to change your network dynamically and to react to events automatically. That piece of code was written by Vincent Bernard at the time he was working at Dailymotion. And it allows to check if a service works. And if it works, it will be announced on an IP. And if the service doesn't work anymore, then the announcement will be removed, allowing the service to fail over to a different machine. So that was written. That one is 535 line of code. And it's a totally dynamic way of announcing services. So you can do at layer 3 what in the past people were doing at layer 2 by building a big layer between two DCs and having a LAN between two to failover services. Now you can do that at layer 3 with BGP. Other people found that finally you can use BGP also and the powerful ASICs you found on your routers to do flow-based balancing for your flows. And when you have large websites, instead of buying a big load balancers, just use your router to spread the packet between different web servers. And as the hashing is consistent, it prevents you to buy hardware and save you cost. That's a different way to do SDN as well. So some people have been even madder than that. I know of an example of someone who contacted me under NDA because they need to reprogram their network very, very often, every few minutes, analyze the traffic of their traffic and find the best path for every destination and reprogram the network a lot, which means that they change something like 500K routes every 5 minutes. It can be done with ExaBGP. They've done it. I was scared like hell when they told me about it again. People are mad, but it works and it does things. And those kind of solutions are required because people sell it as solution. You can buy it from those guys below as well. I even came with ideas for exchanges, which is to create the biggest, most reliable root server for an exchange, where you can create one, I would say, peer. You put on every site where you have an exchange, on every POP you have an exchange, put a box which does a local BGP peering, then back up the information to the central DB. You then monitor every site locally, and you can remove the root as required when you detect faults. That could be done. I still intend to build something simpler than that at some point. But that would be something we cannot do with normal vendor solutions. So, to be short, in effect, what I've done is I take a very good idea from Squid. The one we probably have used Squid may know that Squid, when you get a URL for you as a proxy, can rewrite the URL and then you can modify things. That's what exactly what BGP does. You get into BGP packet and he will transform that in JSON or text for you, and then you can do something with it. He sends that to a backend process and you can do whatever you want with it. It can be scripted in every language because you use JSON and text, so there is no API, there is nothing to learn. If you can write bash, you can probably do something with it. So as I know it's probably time and you probably want to leave, and when there's a presentation, questions don't come, I've got my own questions. Like I can give my own answers. So if you didn't listen, I don't care. So I will ask you, who here ever used ExaBGP? Where is my beer? Okay. So what I will do is, for what are you using it? If you have something you want to say, and if you want to speak about any question, I'm here.
Any questions at all? We've got a few minutes if
I was on time for the beer.
We've got a whole evening if you want to grab Thomas then and ask him other questions. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.